Good evening, everyone. My name is Shweta, and I'm from Guinea's Planet. And we are here for the third conversation in our series, Research for Everyone. So, the series is supposed to simplify findings of various research that has taken place. Today, we have Dr. Ritu Sharma, and she's going to tell us about her research. She is with the Heritage Experiential School right now and contributes a great deal to the Cambridge curriculum. Dr. Ritu, please tell us what was your research about?
Yes, thank you for having me here, Shweta. This is a great opportunity. My PhD research journey actually started way back, and I'm going to share it right now. So, the first thing that I thought about was how should I choose a PhD topic? Like, what topic should I research upon? Why should I research upon anything? And why should I give so much time? It requires a lot of time and effort. So, I thought of three things. Is there a common problem that I see around me in the place where I work? In the place where I live, or around me in the society? And is that problem something that I can research upon? Is that problem something I can solve and contribute to solving it? Can I do something about the problem given the time frame? Because you have different responsibilities. You have to study, you have to take care of the family. So considering all the constraints, will I be able to do anything about it? So, seeing that all these questions had the answer yes. So, yes, I could find a problem around me. Yes, I could do something about the problem. And yes, it was very practical to research in the given time frame. So, I chose to conduct this research, and I actually identified my topic of research. Um, Before conducting research, before undertaking any research, be it smaller article, a smaller research article, or be it a PhD or a postdoctorate research, it's very important to plan. So the simplest steps of planning are first, obviously, you identify the problem, which I had already done because I had looked around me, I had observed, I had found that one problem which people were facing, and I had concluded that I will be able to solve it within the time frame. I then answered the five important questions: what, where, who, how, and when, the four W's and the one H. Um, then whatever findings, whatever data I got, I analyzed that data and I interpreted the findings. So this was the plan I implemented. So the topic of my PhD was identifying predictors of turnover behavior, a study of dealer employees. Yes, I know this may sound very confusing. This may sound like we are not able to understand, but let us look at it more closely. So the what of the plan. So think about how your parents and adults, they go to job every day, right? So either they work in a company or they own their own businesses, but they do go and work somewhere. So what motivates them to work? Have you ever wondered? Have you ever wondered why all these adults, they keep doing all this stuff? Why are they doing all this work in their lives? um, what encourages them? Why do they go there? Why don't they move? So these were some of the research questions of my study, and some of the problems I wanted to resolve. So when employees work in a company, there is a reason why they want to leave, or there is a reason why they want to stay. So when employees want to leave the company, it is called turnover behavior. And predictors are those things that can tell you beforehand, like you can predict something that is going to happen in the future based on past trends, like based on data. So, which means that predictors of turnover behavior would help us in knowing beforehand which employees want to leave a company and which employees want to stay in the company. And why is this important? This is very important for companies because lot of money is invested in training these employees, in giving them salaries, in other benefits. You know how for your parents also, for adults, they have so many incentives. So company invests a lot. It would be very nice for companies to know which employees are leaving and which want to stay to manage their budget. So this was the PhD topic. So now where? So now from where will I get all this data? It's a lot of information I need. The turnover, predictors. So how do I do that? So first I had to identify one small sector, one small area on which I will focus. And that was automobiles. So I'm sure all of you must have heard about the top automobile companies. And I'm sure all of you, like most of you, would be very interested and would be very excited to see the new models of cars that and bikes that come each year, right? And we have the car expo also every year. So it's wonderful, exciting industry, the automobile industry. So I decided to focus my research on the automobile industry. And why only automobile? Because in India it is a very booming market. Like many people, they are buying more and more cars and more bikes year on year. So this is a growing area, growing industry. So I took the three top automobile companies of that year. So this was in the year 2011, right? And the three top companies of that year were BMW, Honda, and Maruti. So one each from luxury cars, the middle segment car, and the small segment car. So that is how I decided where my research should focus on. So yes, these are some of the cars, the famous cars. These are newer models. Back then we did not have these models. Yeah. Now, once the company has been decided or the industry has been decided, now who are all these people who will give me information? Like I cannot go to random people walking down the road to collect information, right? So how do I know which person I should approach and collect information from? So consider for a moment, suppose you have to change your school, and suppose you have to join a new school. Now, how will you decide which school is the best, and who all will you approach to gather data from? So probably you will ask students who already study there, teachers who work there. You will talk to the principal, to the parents, and maybe then you will get to know whether the new school is good or not. So these people are known as stakeholders. So similarly, I chose to approach all those people who were connected with the company. So who all are connected with the company? Employees, managers, the top leadership like the owners, board of directors, and the customers. So I approached all these stakeholders. And this becomes my research population. So I now know who are all the people I have to approach. But there's still one problem. So the problem is that these are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Hundreds of employees are working in these companies, hundreds of customers. So which is that specific person I will approach? I could not approach all of them in the time frame given. So then what do I do? So for all the three companies, I decided to select the top 3 branches in Delhi NCR. And I so the top 3 branches in total had an employee, customer, all these people together, somewhere around 280 people with, and I managed to approach 260 of them. So this is known as sampling. Here I had a very large research population. Remember how in the earlier thing it was like I will have to approach all the employees, I will have to approach all the managers, I will have to approach all the customers. It is not possible. What I did was I undertook something known as sampling. I decreased the size of this group. I selected few people whom I will approach for information. So why only the top 3 branches? Because obviously, whatever the top companies implement, the other companies, they follow. So if the top companies, people are not leaving and they want to sort of stay, so then all the others will follow. So if I research the top 3 branches, whatever results are applicable to them, all the others will just follow. So 260 people where was the number I approached in total for information, and these people became my respondents. So people who answer your queries, who give you data, are known as respondents. Now, this is an example of stakeholders in a school. So if you want to conduct a survey in your school, you might want to approach the teachers, the specialists, parents, doctors, caretakers, principal. Now I knew where I had to go. I knew whom I had to talk to. But how do I collect this? Do I ask them? I go and what do I ask them? What information do I take? So I read some previous research reports. So this process is known as literature review. So from the previous research reports, I got to know that there are some key things which determine whether a person will stay in a company or will leave the company. So these key things, these are known as key variables. Some of the key variables of my research were organizational commitment, which is how committed a person is to the company. Intent to leave, like do I intend to leave very soon or do I not intend? And community embeddedness. So how strongly related am I with my society, with my community? These were some of the variables. How did I know these? I knew these after I read previous research reports. How do I collect this information? I collected this information using questionnaires and interviews. How do I make a questionnaire? What question will I put in it? Or what question will I ask in an interview? Again, I read previous research. I did some literature review and found certain questionnaires and interviews, which I then adapted. I modified them, I changed them to suit my own purpose. I conducted some statistical methods on them to know that these are reliable tools, that these will give me the answers will be reliable and not biased. And then I went on to collect data. You would wonder why both questionnaire and interview. So questionnaires help you give number data information in the form of numbers. This is known as quantitative data. Quantitative means something that can be measured. So if you have numbers, you can put them in mathematical models and then you can calculate the result like you do in maths. So in maths, you have some numbers, you put them in some formulae and you get some result. Similarly, from questionnaires, you can put the answers in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet or a software. So I use the software SPSS. So you can put the answers in this software or you can put the answers in Excel and it will give you some numbers. And those numbers you can put in any statistical formula and you can get the desired results. Interviews, on the other hand, will give you in-depth information about that issue. In-depth knowledge, in-depth information that is known as qualitative information. So we cannot add or subtract interview information. We cannot do that. Interview information, they have to be analyzed like a content, like the interview is like one whole essay, like one whole speech a person has given. They have talked to you about something, they have answered you about something, like a very lengthy answer that you write maybe in English or Hindi, like you write lengthy answers. Similarly, in interviews you get lengthy answers. So interviews are analyzed using you can use softwares like NVivo, or you can just copy paste it on a Word document, and then you can look whether everyone is answering the same or whether there are some differences in the answers. So there are different techniques. This is known as content analysis. So the transcript of the interview is taken and you can copy it on the Word document and then you can do your analysis, or you can use a software. So all this I did. And remember, when you go out in the field to collect data, you have to be very observant. You have to keep seeing, how people are behaving, what are they doing, whether what they are saying, they are actually doing it, or they are saying something else and doing something else. So there is some difference in that. So you have to be very, perceptive. So you have to keep seeing what is happening around you. So observational skills are very important. Whew. Now, when did I do this? So it required a lot of time. Remember, my research is about behavior, whether people will leave the company or not. So it is a type of behavior. Behavior takes a lot of time to develop, and sometimes behavior can change suddenly. Change as in something happens according to the situation and suddenly you do something, you react. For example, some of you might have missed maybe homework once. So every time you are regular, but once maybe you forgot, or maybe you had some other work at home and you could not do your homework. But your teacher does not assess you, the teacher does not give your report card only on the basis of one homework, right? So there are so many homework throughout the year, so many tests, exams, everything happens, everything is considered, and then your report card is given. So similarly, for my research, because behavior had to be studied, so I collected information, I collected data for 2 years so that the data could be unbiased. And also because all the employees who left in between, I could ask them their reason of leaving. Why were they leaving the company? So this type of research, when you collect data for a very long time, and from the same people, so from the same people you keep collecting data over and over again, this is known as longitudinal research. So that is what I did. I undertook longitudinal research. This is an example of a longitudinal research. So you collect data from the same people in 2012, then from the same people in 2013, and you keep going. Yeah. So this was a lot of work. So all this I did. I was able to collect lot of data for my lot of information for my topic, and I was able to put all of this information um, in SPSS, the software statistical package for social sciences, and converted it into number form, put those numbers in formulas, and I was able to get some results. Interviews, I did the analysis on Word document. And after 4 long years, all this was complete.
Right. Thank you, Ritu, for taking us through your journey. It's obviously seemed very long and a lot of hard work. So now, can you tell us what emerged through this research? Like, what were the key things that you discovered?
Yes, yes, I would love to discuss the findings. So after all this, all the details that were collected, everything, um, what did I find? So I found that, remember how initially I had asked you, consider for a moment that you had to change your school. I know many of you would be shocked and you would say, we do not want to change. Why should I change my school? And what would be the reason? Why would you not want to change your school? It would be maybe because of good friends or good teachers, right? So similarly, in companies, I found that in the first year of job, so suppose if my job starts today, then till next November, the first year of my job, uh, I would stay in the job only if my community attachment is very strong. This is known as community embeddedness. So if community embeddedness is very strong, if I'm very attached to the community, I have very good friends, I have very good colleagues, I have very good network, then I will not want to leave my job. Even for a higher salary, I would not want to leave my job unless something drastic happens. So there are some drastic situations like, death in the family, or the family moves somewhere else. If something drastic does not happen, people stay in the same job if they have high community embeddedness. So this was the main finding of my research. Um, there was also one a surprise. So the surprise was that all the previous research which is there on organizational commitment, all of that only said that organizational commitment plays a very important role. But in my research, it was found that apart from organizational commitment, for the first year, it is community embeddedness that plays a very important role. So my findings, one of my findings were not supported by previous research. They were a bit different. This happens sometimes when when you conduct research, you do not know what the outcome will be. So sometimes your findings are similar to previous research. Sometimes the findings are different from previous research. So this is what happened in my case. It was a huge surprise.
Right. Okay. So, but that's also, I think, something that is very true for most of us, right? We look for the environment and the culture and the connections, and a lot of decisions also get taken in our life according to that. So, even if previous research did not support what you found, I think the general system, the way things are, I think that's a very important finding. Uh, so, considering that this was a long research and so much work and so many people that you connected with, what were the key challenges that you faced as a researcher?
Yes, indeed. So, first of all, because the findings were so different, I was initially very shocked. But yes, it was a huge help to the company because they did not know. They kept on spending money on commitment, but they had to, sort of improve the community or the society. So, yes, it is a great help. So, there were two major challenges that I faced. So, one of the challenges was, when you go to conduct research anywhere, people are not free. They have so much things to do. They have already scheduled their lives, their day, their week. Everything is scheduled, everything is planned, and it's a struggle to get them to fill data, get them to talk to you. And it took multiple days for me to just finish one interview. So like I remember once for the same interview, I had to go twice to the same office to meet the same person. Getting appointments was very, very difficult. So it's always good in any research, if you plan any research, to get those appointments beforehand. If you go suddenly to anyone, they will not be free to answer your questionnaire or interview. Um, the second challenge I faced was, it's difficult for some people to interact with so many different kinds of people at so many different levels. I had to meet with directors and senior managers, general managers, employees, customers, so many different people. It was very difficult for me. There are different types of personalities. I am a kind of person who does not interact well with strangers, firstly. So, um, my advice to young learners and young researchers would be that practice with people, practice communication, practice those social skills so that you don't face those challenges which I faced.
Right, sorry. So I was saying that was great advice, and considering that you also used a lot of examples from your research, but also parallel examples that will be very relevant for people to maybe simplify things in their mind and then understand it. So thank you for giving us so much time, Ritu, and we hope for the audience. We are going to continue the series, and of course, the next conversation is taking place this Saturday morning. So we look forward to having you, and I hope this does simplify research for you. Thank you for joining us in this conversation. Bye, everyone.